I wasn't supposed to hear it. I wasn't even part of the conversation. But sometimes life hands you the truth when you least expect it. That night my wife had invited a few of her close friends over for dinner. It wasn't unusual. She loved playing hostess, showing off the house, the expensive furniture, the meals she didn't cook but made sure looked impressive. I had no issue with it. I had always believed in giving her what she wanted. If she enjoyed having friends over and feeling like she lived a life of luxury, fine. I was happy to provide, or at least I had been. I had just come home from work, exhausted as usual. I went straight to the kitchen to grab a drink before heading upstairs to change. That's when I heard it. One of her friends laughed and made a joke about how lucky my wife was to have such a comfortable life. Something about how she never had to stress about bills, work, or anything really. It was a harmless comment. At least that's what I thought. But my wife's response was what stopped me in my tracks. "Marriage is like sleeping next to an ATM," she said laughing. The room erupted in giggles. "I mean, why stress about money when you got someone who keeps the funds flowing?" She continued, clearly enjoying the attention. "I don't even have to ask most of the time. He just handles it. As he should." I felt my fingers tighten around the glass in my hand. As he should. That was what did it for me. The entitlement. The complete disregard for everything I had done. Everything I had worked for. She wasn't talking about me like I was her husband. Someone she loved, someone she respected. No, I was just an ATM, a provider, a financial safety net. I should have walked into that room right then and there, should have confronted her in front of her friends and let her see just how much those words had cost her. But I didn't. I stayed quiet, hidden in the kitchen, listening to them joke about how great it must be to have a husband who just pays for everything without question. "You don't even work," one of her friends teased. "How did you manage to set this up so perfectly?" She grinned. "Simple. Marry smart, not hard." More laughter. I felt something inside me shift. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was done. I set the glass down carefully on the counter, taking a slow breath. I had given this woman everything. My time, my money, my effort. I had built a life with her, thinking we were partners. But in her eyes, I was nothing more than a financial convenience, a walking paycheck. I didn't listen to the rest of the conversation. I didn't need to. I walked upstairs, changed my clothes, and sat on the bed for a long moment, staring at nothing in particular. A part of me wanted to believe she hadn't meant it like that, that she was just joking, caught up in the moment, trying to entertain her friends. But deep down, I knew better. A joke like that only comes so easily when there's truth behind it. I had heard enough. Now it was time to act. I didn't say anything that night. I didn't confront her. I didn't let on that I had heard every single word. Instead, I did something I should have done a long time ago. I started paying attention. For years, I had been moving through this marriage on autopilot. I worked hard, made money, and provided a comfortable life. I never thought twice about covering all the bills, the vacations, the shopping sprees, the unnecessary emergency expenses that always seemed to come up. I told myself it was normal. I told myself I was taking care of my wife the way a husband should. But after what I had overheard at dinner, I realized I had never really stopped to ask myself an important question. Was this even a marriage? Or was it just a financial arrangement disguised as one? The next morning, I sat at my desk, logged into my bank accounts, and started pulling up the numbers. At first, it was just curiosity. I wanted to see exactly how much money I had spent on her in the past few months. But the deeper I dug, the worse it got. There were credit card charges for designer clothes, dresses, handbags, shoes, things I had never even seen her wear. Thousands of dollars gone, just like that. Spa days, nail appointments, Ubers to brunches at overpriced restaurants, random Amazon purchases that added up to an absurd amount. Then came the big ones, a $5,000 charge for a weekend getaway with her friends that she had told me was a work retreat. Jewelry she had claimed was a gift from her mother. Expensive home decor that she swore was on sale, but the receipts told a different story. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. She wasn't just spending my money. She was burning through it like it was endless, and I had been blind to it. It wasn't just the money, though. It was the pattern. I thought back to the last time she had done something for me, something that didn't involve her spending my money. When was the last time she had made dinner for me, just because? When was the last time she had planned a date night without expecting me to foot the bill? When was the last time she had even asked me how I was doing? The answer was simple: she never had. I had been so busy working, providing, making sure she was happy, that I never noticed I was the only one giving in this relationship. She didn't contribute emotionally, financially, or even in the smallest ways that make a marriage a partnership. She simply took, and what made it worse? She felt entitled to it. I remembered how easily she had laughed when she called me an ATM, how casually she had said, as he should, as if my entire purpose in this marriage was to fund her lifestyle. I closed my laptop. It was clear now. She didn't love me. She loved the benefits of being with me. And that was something I could no longer ignore. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg for respect, or try to convince her to see me as more than a financial provider. No, I had already seen everything I needed to see. She had spoken freely, and I had listened. Now it was time for action. That night, after she went to bed, I stayed up, logged back into my accounts. This time, I wasn't just looking. I was making changes. First, I canceled all the credit cards she had access to, every single one. The ones she used for shopping, the ones she used for brunches, even the ones she kept in her name but were linked to my account. I didn't just cut them off. I closed them entirely. Then I changed the passwords to my bank accounts. No more easy transfers. No more impulsive spending sprees. No more withdrawals she didn't need to justify. Next, I reviewed the automatic payments. Subscriptions she had signed up for, luxury services she enjoyed, gone. The monthly spa membership, cancelled. The private gym she barely used but insisted on keeping, cancelled. The personal stylist that sent her new clothes every month, definitely cancelled. I sat back and exhaled. For the first time in years, I felt like I was taking control of my own life. The next morning, I waited. I didn't say anything. I wanted to see how long it would take her to realize something had changed. It didn't take long. By noon, my phone buzzed. A message from her. "Hey, my card got declined. Can you check if there's something wrong with the bank?" I ignored it. 10 minutes later, another message. "Babe, I think there's a problem with our credit account. I tried using my other card, and it's not working either." I still didn't answer. Then came the phone call. I let it ring. When I finally walked into the living room, she was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, frustration written all over her face. "Did something happen with the bank?" she asked, as if this was some kind of mistake. I sat down across from her. "No," I said simply. "I cut off the cards." She blinked. "What?" I closed the accounts, cancelled the subscriptions, changed the passwords. "You don't have access to my money anymore." The silence that followed was thick. For a second, she looked like she was about to laugh, as if I had made some kind of joke. But when she saw the look on my face, the amusement faded. "You're kidding." "No, I'm not." Her expression shifted. Confusion, then disbelief, then anger. "Why the hell would you do that?" "He took out the card though." I leaned back. Because I finally realized what this marriage actually is. And I'm done being used. She scoffed, shaking her head. Oh, come on. Is this because of that stupid conversation with my friends? You're overreacting. I stared at her. Am I? She rolled her eyes. You're my husband. It's normal for you to take care of me. That's how relationships work. I almost laughed at the audacity. No, that's how our relationship has worked. But that ends today. Her frustration boiled over. So what? You're just going to cut me off like I'm some stranger. I didn't hesitate. No, like someone who never valued me beyond what I could give. I expected her to argue more. Maybe try to guilt-trip me. But instead, she just sat there, eyes darting around the room as if she was processing what this actually meant. No more unlimited spending. No more safety net. No more effortless luxury. For the first time in years, she was going to have to stand on her own. And she had no idea how. She sat there silent. For the first time in years, she didn't have a quick response, an excuse, or a manipulative twist to throw back at me. She wasn't used to being told no. But that moment of quiet didn't last long. Her eyes flashed with anger. You can't just do this, she snapped, standing up. You can't just decide one day to cut me off like I'm some stranger. We're married. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. Are we? That hit her. I saw it in the way she tensed. But she wasn't the type to back down easily. Of course we are. And in a marriage, the husband is supposed to provide. I let out a short laugh. That's the problem. I've been providing everything, and you've been taking. That's not a marriage. That's a one-sided financial arrangement. Her face twisted in frustration. This is ridiculous. You're acting like I'm some gold digger. Do you have any idea how much I contribute to this household? I raised an eyebrow. Go ahead, tell me. Silence. I didn't let her off the hook. You don't cook. You don't clean. You don't work. You don't contribute financially. You don't even plan things for us. Every vacation, every dinner, every gift, you just receive. So go ahead, tell me what exactly you bring to this marriage. Her jaw tightened, but she had nothing. I nodded. That's what I thought. She scoffed, shaking her head. Oh, come on, this is insane. Are you seriously doing all of this over one stupid joke I made with my friends? That joke, I said coldly, was just confirmation of something I should have seen a long time ago. She threw her hands up. So what now? You're just going to starve me? Make me suffer. That's abuse, you know. I exhaled, keeping my voice even. No, what I'm doing is setting boundaries, something I should have done a long time ago. Her anger grew. You're punishing me. I shook my head. I'm protecting myself. I watched as realization settled in. This wasn't just a temporary change. This wasn't just some lesson I was trying to teach her. This was permanent. She tried another approach. Her tone softened. Baby, let's talk about this. I get that you're upset. I get that what I said hurt you, but we can work through this. I let out a breath. How? Are you suddenly going to start contributing? Are you going to get a job? Are you going to stop treating me like a paycheck? She hesitated. It was the first time I saw fear in her eyes. Not fear of losing me, but fear of losing the life she had built off of me. And that was all I needed to see. No, I said, standing up. We're done talking. I'm done being used, and you're done living off me. She crossed her arms, her last defense. So what are you saying? You want a divorce? I met her gaze without hesitation. I want you out. That knocked the wind out of her. You can't just kick me out. This is my home too. I nodded, which is why I already spoke to a lawyer. I'm handling this the right way. You'll get your fair share, but you won't get another dime from me beyond that. Her mouth opened and closed as if trying to form an argument, but she had nothing because deep down she knew she had nothing. No backup plan, no skills, no independence. She had built her entire life around what I provided, and now that life was collapsing. She didn't move. She just stood there staring at me as if I had just flipped her entire world upside down. And in a way I had. For years, she had lived in comfort, never once having to worry about bills, responsibilities, or what it actually meant to contribute to a household. I had allowed it. I had let myself believe that this was just how things were supposed to be. But now with the safety net gone, she was finally realizing just how fragile her position really was. She wasn't prepared for this. I saw the wheels turning in her head. She was searching for a way out of this, a way to regain control, to twist the situation back in her favor. And then it came, the manipulation. She sighed and sat down, suddenly looking smaller, more vulnerable. I didn't think you saw me this way, she murmured, eyes downcast. I thought we were a team. I almost laughed at the irony. A team? Now she wanted to talk about teamwork. I kept my voice steady. A team means equal effort. What effort have you put into this marriage? She swallowed hard. I support you, she whispered. I've always been there for you. Being present in a house I pay for isn't support, I said flatly. You didn't build anything with me. You just enjoy the results of my work, she flinched. And for a split second, I saw something real, panic, but not because she was losing me. No, she was panicking because she was losing the lifestyle. I knew what was coming next before she even said it. If you kick me out, where am I supposed to go? She asked, voice trembling just enough to sound pitiful. I leaned forward. That's not my problem. Her eyes widened. I think that was the moment she truly understood. I wasn't bluffing. She tried again. I can change. I shook my head. No, you can't. And even if you could, I wouldn't believe it. Her face twisted, and just like that, the vulnerability act was gone. Now she was angry. So that's it? She spat. You're just throwing me away. I didn't let her bait me. No, I'm refusing to be used anymore. She scoffed. You're pathetic. You think you can just replace me? I met her glare without hesitation. I don't need to replace you. I need to remove you. Silence, then she tried one last desperate move, the guilt trip. You know, you're not as good of a husband as you think you are, she said, voice sharp now. I put up with a lot from you too. I smirked. Like what? The endless financial support. The house. The luxury. The vacations. She had nothing. I stood up, walked to the door, and opened it. You can pack your things, or I can have them sent wherever you end up. Your choice. She stared at me as if waiting for me to take it back. I didn't. This was the moment where she could have proved me wrong, where she could have admitted that she was wrong, that she wanted to make things right, that she actually cared. But she didn't. She just grabbed her phone, stormed off upstairs, and slammed the bedroom door shut. I wasn't worried because at this point, there was nothing left to say. She slammed the bedroom door so hard the walls shook. I just stood there, exhaling slowly, feeling the weight of everything settle in, but not in a bad way. No, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had control over my own life again. I wasn't second-guessing myself. I wasn't wondering if I was making a mistake. I knew exactly what I was doing, and more importantly, I knew why I was doing it. Upstairs, I could hear drawers opening and closing, the sound of her rummaging through the closet. She was probably calling someone, maybe one of those same friends she had laughed with that night, the ones who thought she had it all figured out. Marry smart, not hard. Yeah, well, the free ride was over. I walked over to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and sat down at the dining table, the same one where she had made that little joke about me being an ATM. It wasn't funny now, was it? 15 minutes later, she came down the stairs. She had a suitcase in one hand, her designer handbag in the other, dressed in expensive clothes, nails perfectly done, hairstyled like she was about to step into some high-class event. The irony of it all nearly made me laugh. She looked exactly like what she was, a woman who had built her identity around luxury she never earned. She stopped in the doorway, waiting, expecting me to say something, maybe to stop her, to apologize, to offer a compromise. I didn't. She let out a sharp breath, rolling her eyes. You'll regret this. I leaned back in my chair, taking a sip of my water. No, I really won't. Her jaw clenched, her eyes scanning my face, looking for something, any sign of hesitation, any sign that I might crack, but there was nothing left for her to find. Where am I supposed to go? She demanded, her voice sharper now. I shrugged, not my problem. She scoffed, shaking her head. Unbelievable, you're really just throwing me out like I'm some stranger. No, I said simply, I'm throwing you out like someone who took advantage of me for years and thought it would never catch up to her. She let out a bitter laugh. Wow, you really think you're better than me now, huh? I smirked. No, I've always been better than someone who sees marriage as a business arrangement. I just finally woke up. She glared at me, but deep down, she knew she had no power left in this conversation. Nothing she said would change my mind. After a long pause, she grabbed the handle of her suitcase and walked to the door. She didn't turn back. She didn't say goodbye. She just left. And just like that, the house felt lighter. No tension, no manipulation, no endless cycle of me working myself into exhaustion just to keep up with someone who never gave a damn about me. I stood up, stretched, and walked over to the window, watched as she climbed into a rideshare, probably heading to a friend's place. Maybe she'd call a lawyer. Maybe she'd try to fight for more money in the divorce. But it didn't matter. I had already prepared for that. My assets were secured. My accounts were locked down. She had spent years treating me like an ATM. Now she was about to find out what life was like without one. I took another sip of my water, let out a slow breath, and smiled. Finally, I was free. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected one more videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.